Hello explorers and welcome to another video. And today we're going to talk about API platform. API platform is one of these solutions which I would say is battery included, all different sizes and all that you need. So it's a very interesting solution where you get everything bundled in one package. And I think API platform is probably the worst name for a solution for SEO purposes, but I think it's still interesting, and we're going to look at it today. So here we have this client application that I used a while back, and it's something that used REST backend. And you can edit, add, and delete nodes. But at the moment, we don't have any server backend. So if I reload this, everything is gone. Nothing is saved. We don't have any local copies. So we are going to bring up a server. So let's start up here. We have Git cloned the repository at API platform. If you look at the guide on their website, you can find where to download zip packages, tar packages, or how to clone their repository. I chose to clone it. And when you have it, you need to have a few different dependencies on your drive. You need to have Docker, you need to have Docker Compose, and so on. So there is a few things that you need to install in order to get this running. But when you have Docker Compose, you can write Docker Compose pull first, and that will actually go out and look for all the images that this API platform requires to do its work. Because this is a bundle. It actually has a lot of different things. So let's look at it here. We have an PHP API frontend. We have a database, and this is a Postgres database server. We have a client on port 80, and this is a dev or something with a static website hosting service, and you can use it to build a progressive web app in production. While I'm talking here, let's bring up this service. So we will type Docker Compose up-d, and that will bring up all the services as daemons on my drive and in Docker. So there's a lot of different services. And we have an admin interface, and this is a development server for admin where you can do things in production, change things, and so on. And then we have, see here, we have an API server endpoint on Nginx, and then we have a cache proxy that will make things run much faster. We have an H2 proxy, which will help us to do nice switchovers between different workloads and so on. So this package has a lot of different services and inside of these containers here. And we also have some container called Mercure. So that's interesting. See here that it actually takes too long for me to get this up and running. So let's do a compose _http _timeout, and let's give it 5 minutes to get up and running. So it can take a while to actually get all these Docker images up and running and started on your machine, depending on how fast machine you have. And this is my, let's see here, we need to bring them down again. Let's see if we can do that. If not, I need to stop them. Let's try stopping them. Stop. See if it will stop all the containers or if we need to kill them. So getting this up and running can be a little bit difficult. It uses a few ports. So if you have any services running on the standard DB port for Postgres, for instance, 5432, you need to turn that service off. If you are using something on port 80, you need to turn that off. I had an Nginx server running on that port. If you have anything on port 81, which is the admin port, you need to turn that off. And the API is on port 8080, and the cache proxy is on 8081. And you also have this A2 proxy. Okay, we still can't get this up and running. So we stop them, we down them. Can we get this up and running? Now it's trying. Nice. So Docker Compose have a lot of different commands doing the same things. You can stop things, you can put them down, you can kill them, and so on. So the terminology can be a bit weird. I haven't actually used Docker Compose that much. I'm used to using Kubernetes and raw Docker containers. So that's why I have some confusion about this API. I'm not really sure what the difference is of stopping something, downing it, killing it. I understand if something has hang, you can kill it and it will be removed. But if you stop a container, that container should be removed. I guess. Down, remove it too. So it doesn't really jar well with the Docker terminology that you usually use on your Docker containers, and it doesn't really have the same terminology that you use in Kubernetes. So I'm not really sure why it's using a different terminology. But I guess that the people that wrote Docker Compose thought that was a good terminology. So now we have all the services up and running. So let's go here to our web browser again. If we can open it, there we go. And we can go to localhost. That will give us a very nifty little front page here. So if we open localhost, it will actually show us all the functionality that we can use in this API platform. And as I'm recording this and I'm using this VirtualBox VM with a very constrained environment, it can take a while to get this up and running. But here we see the welcome to the API platform. You have an API, both HTTP and HTTPS. So if we open up that endpoint, we also have cached APIs that we can go to down here. So here we see that endpoint. Here we have a greetings endpoint. So if we do a greeting, a GET request on greetings, we should get something back. So let's do a localhost /greetings. And that's not found. Okay. Yeah. Let's see if we can do, was it 8080 greetings? Yep, there we have it. And if we execute it, we will get the response here with some greeting. So it actually showed us this page. Let's see, did we have another port for the API? No, that's the API endpoint. Okay, but the greetings is not that interesting, I guess. Just getting a simple greeting here is not that fun. And we also have an admin interface, and this is an admin interface for the database. So here you can add greetings if you like. Hello, Let's see if what this gets. So this is greetings 1. So if we go back to this port here, maybe we can do greetings /1. See if we get something there. Yeah, execute. And we will get the response code. Hello is the name down here. So that's the greetings endpoint. And it seems to be working. But we want to make this a little bit more fun. We can actually do greetings-json. Let's see. That was not it. Let's see here. Can we do like that? Then we will get this hello. So it will actually give us. I wonder if we can do /1. That's the same. So just adding .json will give us the response in a JSON format. Can we do .html? No. Can we do .jsonld? So that's a different format. Can you do XML perhaps? Yeah. Oh, that was a really big one. What can we think about more? Can we do text perhaps? Yeah, that's the same. Yeah, so you see here we have a lot of different version of this API. So it's built on Swagger. It has Symphony in the back end. You can use the things that you built on this platform is built in React, and so there is so much things bundled in this bundle here. So let's try to make our own little API here. So then we need to actually look into this API source, and here we have entries. See if I can reload this here. So here you see you have greetings. This is the endpoint that we were talking about earlier, and it's pretty much the same that I want for my endpoint. And the difference is that I want to make a notes endpoint. So let's take this one and we will create a new. We'll say that we want a note PHP. Let's copy this in here. So this is not a dummy anymore. This is our notes API. And we can say that we want an ID that is a generated value. So this is the entity ID, and it's an integer at the moment, so it's a number. And I don't know if we actually need to have constraints here. Assert. So it asserts that it's not blank. I'm not really keen on that. The notes we can say here. We can also say that it should be nullable, false or true if we like. So there is some annotations we can do here for our name. And so we can remove this assertion. This ORM will give us the entities for doctrine. So you see here they are using the doctrine framework as well to handle all the requests to the database. And then we have an API resource, and that is what will prompt us to actually be able to use this in an API. So if we remove this API resource here, and then we will run a command. So docker compose exe php bin /console and make nope, not make entity, console doctrine, schema update force. If we do like that, it will actually go into and run this doctrine schema update and try to update the schema for this. And it sees that we haven't actually renamed our entity. It should be a note entity because that already exists in the database. So let's try again and see if we can update this schema. Okay. Did I spell it incorrectly? Doctrine schema update. Yep, updating schema. Contains null but none. Let's see here. Contains null values. Okay, so we can add nullable true. Let's say that it can be null because I don't really care. So now it's updated. So if we go back here and we go into the admin platform, we can see here it's still greetings. See if we can go back here. Still have a greeting. Let's restart the admin interface. Still have greetings. I see. And in the API interface, we don't have anything in our API here. We don't only have greetings. So let's try now to remove greetings. See if we can just move it to trash and do an update on this again. There we go. And if we go back to the interface here, there is no greetings. If we go here, there is no specification. If we go into the admin interface, there is nothing to find here. So even though we have updated the schema and added something to our database, we don't have any API endpoint. So by adding this API resource here as an annotation, I don't believe, can we just reload here? Yeah, so here you see we have notes. And I have tried this before, so I have already notes in the database. And then we have this API. And if I go to my notes client and reload that, I have notes here. But you see that I don't have any text in these. Is it because this field here is called name? Yeah, so I called it text. So let's change that. And the query was executed. And let's see here. We still have this. And here we have the text. So now I've updated the schema, I have the text, and I can read this. The problem here now, if we look into this, I can add a new note. That's fine. So if I add a new note and I go into admin here and reload, you can see that I have a new note. And if I go back here and load, I see that I have a new row down here. And I can remove this note. That's fine as well. And it should be removed in the admin interface as well. But if I type something here, you see that I get a lot of red over here. It might not be that easy to see. This text is a little bit small. But here you see that I have a method not allowed. So I try to do a patch, the method patch. And patch is a part of the specification for REST APIs. So if you want to update something in your database, you can either do a post, and that will create a new entry. You can do a put, and that will replace an entry. So you will change everything about that entry. You will send new data to the database, and you can do a put and a patch. And patch is actually changing one or more fields in the database, but not changing any other data. And patch is a very good way to update data. And in my case, I only have one field, so I could have used the put, but the framework that I used in this old application only use patch. So this is where I am at the moment. I can actually not use this application for anything useful. So we need to go further. We need to actually create an API endpoint in this new little system here. So we will create an interface that we can build on in React. And to do that, we need to create that endpoint using a little bit of a command. So we can run this command here. Let's see if I can copy paste that. Can't do that. Docker compose. And then we will write exec client. So that's from the client library here. And then we can generate API platform client. So that will generate an API platform client for us in our client directory here. So you see that the client directory here got green. So it made some changes here. It added a lot of stuff. If we look into the reducers here, we have some different things for reducers in notes. And I believe it's a little bit, let's see if I can change there. So now it's a little bit bigger, so it's easier to see. So you see here that in the source directory for this client here, it has updated. It added some reducers. It added some routes. It added some components for this note, and it's also added some actions. And if you're using React with Redux, you know what all these terms are and how to update and work with these. But these are auto-generated for you in order to use this API endpoint. And the only thing you need to do to get this up and running is go into this index.html here, index.js. We need to add some imports. So we need to add imports for the reducers and for the routes. So let's see here if we can do that. Let's see. Copy pasting from terminals is not allowed like that. So there we have it. And then if we go back down here, you see that we need to add where we combine the reducers. We need to add notes to our reducers. So we go down here, you see combine reducers. We add notes to this form here. And why is it red? It should be fine, right? I added note here and port. We add a note down here, and down here where we add the different routes, we can also do note routes. So we'll add that there into that. And why do we get squigglies here? Can only be used in a TS file import. Strange. So let's see if we go back here to this endpoint, if we can go to notes. It's not found. Yeah, and if we go to slash, yeah, there we have it. So this is an API endpoint that we can actually use. So we need to add slash in order to get the routes. And here we can go in and change the value to grain, for instance. That will work. And we can see the result in our own old client and so on. And this is not a very nice UI, but if you know Redux, if you know React and so on, this is an interesting starting point to build your application from. You can build a lot more complicated and interesting applications auto-generated like this. I'm just showing the very basics now, but I still think that you will understand a little bit more what this platform is capable of. I hope that you found this interesting. Maybe you want to go in and play around with API platform yourself after this video. If you have any questions about API platform or any of its components, it's a lot, then leave it down in the comment section and I will try to answer it, or someone in the community can do that. If you like this video, give it a like, share it with your friends and colleagues. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that, and I really hope to see you in the next video.